Welcome to the project I suffered through so you don't have to. Armed with the right knowledge, swapping your Squarebody Chevy's key ignition cylinder can be a quick and easy process. Watch the rest of this video to see how I did it and learn what to look for. After removing the horn button and the plate behind it, you'll find this disc-shaped spring. Remember the orientation of this spring for the reinstall. The resting position keeps the horn button raised until you press it down. Remove the steering wheel nut. Before we get too deep in the video, I want to make sure you're clearly aware of a couple specialty tools you'll need, because it sucks to get started on a project and have to run to the store halfway through. Pick up a steering wheel puller and a lock plate compressor, or get the kit from Harbor Freight that has both. The channels on my new steering wheel puller did not allow the bolts to be close enough to the center of the tool, which kept the bolts from being able to thread into the steering wheel properly. I had to Dremel the inside of the tool to fix that issue. The other issue I had was the bolts in my steering wheel puller kit were not long enough, so I ran to the hardware store for 3-inch bolts and they fit perfect. To use a steering wheel puller, thread the 2 parallel bolts through the tool and into the wheel. Place the centering point between the wheel and the tool, then thread the puller bolt through the tool and into the centering point. Use a wrench or a ratchet to tighten the puller and remove the wheel. Remove the wheel lock plate cover. If your steering wheel lock plate compressor doesn't thread on correctly, try flipping the end of the tool because there's usually a different thread on each side. To use a steering wheel lock plate compressor, thread the tool onto the end of the column, then turn the wing nut to compress the lock plate. This gives you access to the snap ring holding the plate in place. The snap ring can take some creative flathead work to get it off. You really should replace the steering wheel lock plate snap ring with a new one. This little ring plays a big role in keeping your steering column components in place. You might need to lightly pry the plate off. As I was about to do that, it popped itself off from the spring tension behind it. Set your turn signal stick to the up position and remove the stick assembly. Be gentle now, this plastic is old and can be brittle. If the wiring is tight on yours, like it was on mine, pull slowly and only enough to get it out of the way so you have access to the ignition cylinder. This next part took me a very long time to figure out. There's supposed to be a slot in the column to access the lock pin on the ignition cylinder. Turns out you may have to punch your own slot like I had to on mine. Then you'll need something strong and thin to press the pin and remove the ignition cylinder. Some people use a pick, some use a small piece of sheet metal. I shaved down one of my flatheads to reach the slot and press the ignition cylinder lock pin. Set the ignition cylinder to the on position, press the lock pin in, and pull the cylinder out. If it doesn't come out easily, then you can carefully pry it out as well, like I had to. The rest is easy. After you like and subscribe, just put the column components and steering wheel all back together in the reverse order. I used a ratchet to torque the steering wheel nut back on and hit it quick with an impact driver to make sure it was seated. But don't overdo it. The notch in this little disc should line up with the top of the steering wheel and the top of the horn button. For reference, my wheel is currently upside down. Moment of truth. The key turns the engine over and the key can turn to the off position, which it couldn't do before with the broken one. Hope this video helps. Thank you all for watching and I'll see you on the next one.